Wall Street. It was a phenomenon where there were men in their 30s and 40s making 2 and 3 million a year, and that was disgusting. But then you had the internet age and then globalization, and money got truly crazy, she told me. You had people in their 30s, through hedge funds and Goldman Sachs partner jobs, people who were making 20, 30, 40 million a year. And there were a lot of them doing it. They started hanging out with each other. They became a pack. They started roaming the globe together as global high rollers, and the differences between them and the rest of the world became exponential. It was no longer just Gordon Gekko. It developed into a totally different stratosphere. Ms. Peterson's dinner party observations are borne out by the data. In America, the gap between the top 1% and everyone else has indeed developed into a totally different stratosphere. In the 1970s, the top 1% of earners captured about 10% of the national income. 35 years later, their share had risen to nearly a third of the national income, as high as it had been during the Gilded Age, the previous historical peak. Robert Reich, the labor secretary under Bill Clinton, has illustrated the disparity with a vivid example. In 2005, Bill Gates was worth $46.5 billion and Warren Buffett $44 billion. That year, the combined wealth of the 120 million people who made up the bottom 40% of the U.S. population was around $95 billion, barely more than the sum of the fortunes of these two men. These are American billionaires, and this is U.S. data. But an important characteristic of today's rising plutocracy is that, as Ms. Peterson put it, today's super rich are global high rollers. A 2011 OECD report showed that over the past 3 decades, in Sweden, Finland, Germany, Israel, and New Zealand, all countries that have chosen a version of capitalism less red in tooth and claw than the American model, inequality has grown as fast as, or faster than in the United States. France, proud as usual of its exceptionalism, seemed to be the one major Western outlier, but recent studies have shown that over the past decade, it too has fallen into line. The 1% is outpacing everyone else in the emerging economies as well. Income inequality in communist China is now higher than it is in the United States, and it has also surged in India and Russia. The gap hasn't grown in the fourth brick, Brazil, but that is probably because income inequality was so high there in the first place. Even today, Brazil is the most unequal of the major emerging economies. To get a sense of the money currently sloshing around what we used to call the developing world, consider a conversation I recently had with Naguib Sawiris, an Egyptian telecom billionaire whose empire has expanded from his native country to Italy and Canada. Sawiris, who supported the rebels on Tahrir Square, was sharing with me and a dinner audience at Toronto's Four Seasons Hotel his mystification at the rapacious ways of autocrats. I've never understood in my life why all these dictators, when they stole, why didn't they just steal $1 billion and spend the rest on the people? What was interesting to me was his choice of $1 billion as the appropriate cap on dictatorial looting. In his world, I wondered, was $1 billion the size of fortune to aim for? Yes, to cover the fringe benefits, the plane, the boat, it takes $1 billion, Sawiris told me. I mean, that's my number for the minimum I want to go down. If I go down. Meanwhile, the vast majority of American workers, who may be superbly skilled at their jobs and work at them doggedly, have not only missed these windfalls. Many have found their professions, companies, and life savings destroyed by the same forces that have enriched and empowered the plutocrats. Both globalization and technology have led to the rapid obsolescence of many jobs in the West. They've put Western workers in direct competition with low-paid workers in poorer countries. And they've generally had a punishing impact on those without the intellect, education, luck, or chutzpah to profit from them. Median wages have stagnated as machines and